on a syndrome often misdiagnosed as autism. As CBS 4's Cynthia Demas reports, it is a cause close to their hearts.
This is 6-year-old Gia. Her mom, Giselle Gonzalez, said doctors diagnosed her with autism for the first 3 years of her life. But she wasn't autistic. Her mother describes how that made her feel.
Horrible.
Her mother focused on speech therapy and treatment for autism.
And not knowing was the hardest part.
Turned out Gia had Rett syndrome. It is an autism spectrum, but it requires very different therapy.
Do it again.
Gia's lucky she doesn't have seizures often associated with Rett syndrome, but most other victims do.
And it's really, really, really hard on these parents because you don't know when it's going to happen.
Autism deals with the inability to have social interactions, problems with language or communication. Rett syndrome is an autism spectrum disorder that affects girls primarily. Typically, the person cannot speak, loses muscle tone, has diminished eye contact, wringing of the hands, and little to no use of their hands at all. Had Giselle known Gia had Rett syndrome and not autism, she would have focused on eye contact and eye communication with her for those first 3 years, as opposed to speech therapy. Well, now Giselle and her sister are out on a mission to make a real difference for others. The two started an organization in Gia's honor called God's Innocent Angels. Gia.
We want to make it a 100% volunteer-based.
The response has been very positive. The sisters are in the midst of becoming a 501c3. They want parents to know what they've learned.
You have to keep finding the right doctor until you find the one that you feel comfortable with.
They want people to know what Rett syndrome is, that it is genetic, and if you suspect your child or someone has Rett syndrome, a genetic blood test should be done.
Get the correct therapy, because therapy is very important.
It's not easy, but you can't not keep going forward. You just can't stop and say, okay, that's it. I'm going to stop and not do anything because I know that there's no cure out there. You just can't give up. You have to keep pushing forward.
That was Cynthia Demas who brought us that story. And important to point out that autism spectrum disorders like Rett often don't show symptoms until the age of 18 months.
Stay with